Hey, what's up, everybody? Today, Friday night Q&A time, baby. You know what time it is? It's Camo time. We're going shark tooth mode. All right. This is the cap of caps. My favorite one. We're in it. We're into winning it. Got to put on my trusty nerd ass glasses because I can't see shit because of my age. All right. Getting up there. You got to put them on. All right. So, shout out to everybody watching this live in the chat box. Make sure you hit that, pound that like button, subscribe, share, all that stuff. There. So, man, tonight it's open discussion, Q&A. Man, you got questions? Put them in there in the chat box, and we'll talk about the Cowboys. But the thumbnail, obviously, Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark, the duo, dynamic duo. All right, it's Quinnen, it's Clark, it's not Osa. All right, Osa, rotational guy. It's Clark and Quinnen. These guys have revamped that middle of the defense, and it does give you something to hang your hat on as far as like being excited for the rest of the games. I mean, so the test is going to be Sunday versus the Eagles. Right, Quentin Williams, Kenny Clark leading the way, and then you have the edge rusher Donovan Ezaraku, right? So he's going to be in it. He's starting to surge. He's starting to come on. You know what I mean? And people really like his run defense. I do too, but I want to see the sacks. You know what I mean? We got to have more sack production from these edge rushers. Pressures are good, but sacks turn the game around. They put you in long down and distance. Pressures don't do that. Pressures, they may give you an errant throw, a hurried pass, an overthrow, underthrow, but sacks is where it's at because it puts you in long down and distance and the potential for turnovers. Right. So I like what Donovan's doing right now. He has improved, but the core of this defense now goes through the middle. Right. So you're talking about Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark. So with that being said, what is going to be the possibility of the Cowboys turning this defense around legitimately and making a push towards a playoff run? You know, it all starts here on Sunday versus the Eagles. If they're able to win this game, you know what I mean? I think it puts everybody back fully on as far as like, you would now be 5-5-1. You would be at, the 500 level. You're in second place right now in the division. Washington has regressed significantly. The Giants, that they've already reeled it in, so they're done. So right now it's not a two-man race. Right now the Cowboys competition is the other division teams as far as earning a wild card position because it goes by the strength of what your record is, right? So Cowboys really need to keep winning. Like I said previously in the week, 6-1 is the benchmark. You can lose at least one more game, but it's the other teams and the rest of the conference that you have to watch out for because you look at that the Packers, Vikings, and Bears. All these guys are going to be competing for wild card positionings, and then they all have better records than the Cowboys. Cowboys will be playing, the Vikings, so you might gain some ground there. All right, but that's a tough game. So Cowboys, it all starts here Sunday. If they win this game, they can control their destiny. All right. You lose that game, you would then have to really run the table and rely on some other teams to help you get in. So they can't trip up. If they're serious about trying to get a playoff position, defense has to play like they did last week. but even better because you're playing the defending champs, the Eagles. They're good. I don't care what anybody says. They're a well built team, and they're good all around, top to bottom. You know what I mean? So they're the team to beat right now. I think the Rams as well. I think are low key being overlooked. The Rams have kind of followed this the way of the Eagles. You know what I mean? Like you build it up, you get to the Super Bowl, you can win, and then you know you bring it back down and you rebuild, and then you're back in contention. The Rams have done that little by little. You saw them get to the big game, they won it, and then you know they had they had to bring it all back down, and then they have rebuilt it. And you've been seeing the progression there with the Rams. Okay, so it is possible these teams that go all in and then they bring it back down and rebuild. Eagles, same deal. Went to the Super Bowl, up, down. Cowboys, they need to take a page out of the script and do the same thing. Go all in, get the Super Bowl win, and then you can, take all the hits, you're gonna have some down season, but then rebuild again. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're getting back in contention. Cowboys, they just been teasing us, for a while here. We don't have that, get to the Super Bowl, bring everything down, rebuild, and get back up. It's always we're always kind of hovering between getting into a wild card, being a divisional, getting to the division round and getting bounced. We don't have this taking it to the next level like these guys have done. So they need to really change the way they're thinking here. But anyway, it's back to the defense for the Cowboys. I think the season is going to rely on that. I think the offense will be okay as long as they don't get stifled. And I think that's what scares me about this little run here. You're facing pretty good defenses, all right. I do like what our offensive line has done here. I think they have gotten a little bit better. They have some cohesion, but still, they could be playing a lot better than they are. You know what I mean? Now you're playing in the big leagues, all right, with the Eagles, Jalen Carter. What is that matchup going to look like with Cooper Beebe and Tyler Booker? I'm sure they'll move him around as well to get the best matchups. The edge, Tyler Guyton, like I said, I think last week was probably his best game that he has had for the Cowboys, but it was the Raiders. But then again, he did have some good wins against Crosby, who was one of the top tier edge rushers. So there's something to be said about that. I do want to see the progression. I think maybe the light has finally come on for Tyler Guyton. If so, that's going to help this team out a lot. You know what I mean? Terrence Steele, I think he's going to be the question mark in this game. Is he going to get ate up? All right. So it's going to be a hell of a game, man. Let me know what you got here for me. Comments, questions, and we'll talk about the team here. How are you guys feeling about the roster, draft, team needs, anything like that? We'll talk about it here tonight. So, yeah, just send them my way, and we'll answer some of those. All right. Shout out to everybody in the chat box, everybody watching live and around the world. Thank you all very much. All right. So yeah, man, that's where we're at. 4-5-1. Still alive, but for how much longer? All right. That's the key question here for the Cowboys. Let me see what we got here. Let's see what we got here. Questions, comments, let me know. We'll talk about it here. All right, buddy. Jerry seems to finally be building a solid foundation of star players. I think an active free agency and hits on draft picks could turn this team around. Yeah, I agree, man. So, talking about 2026, right? So, yeah, they changed if they change their philosophy a bit, they just need to tweak it here and there, and they can really turn this thing around. Free agency, you know what I mean? I think you need to bring in at least one star free agent at least, because right now they've kind of just gone lower tier free agents, reclamation projects. Will McClay likes to bring in these former first round busts. If you look at this last haul that we had, it wasn't good. I mean, Solomon Thomas, he's been okay, but they brought in like Peyton Turner. He was a bust, Kyrie Elam, he terrible. Um, who else? They brought in Jadavion Clowney. I think he's been okay, but he's long in the tooth now, right? So he's getting banged up already. That's kind of been his mo. He's not very durable. Um, so I want them to at least tweak that a little bit. Give me one guy in that first wave of free agency. You know what I mean? They can do it by maneuvering the money around. And for the draft, yeah, definitely with the draft defensively, they really gotta cross their T's and dot their I's with that, because we've documented it here, we've talked about it, and McClay just has that track record of not doing very well defense on the defensive side of the ball, right? So I think they need to go back and figure out why. Why have they been missing? Are they doing too much risk in the second round? I say yes. It's always draft the injury guy and hope that he'll be what he was pre-injury. It's like that with a lot of these second round picks. They need to stop that. Just bring in somebody that is a good player, a solid player, draft him and have him ready. I don't want any more of these Dr. Cooper specials. I really don't, man. They need to snap out of this second round funk, because those early picks, you're really expected for them to contribute. I mean, look at Donovan Ezaraku, second round pick. They've been bringing him along, and he's been contributing. That's what you need. You can't do like they did with Revel in the third round. That they said he would be back for camp. He barely got back. He looked good. I mean, he showed some promise there against the Raiders, but let's see how he does the rest of the way. But yeah, man, if they can hit on those picks, you can turn this thing around like really quick. I mean, that's what these championship teams have done, man. They're really good, methodical with free agency, methodical with the draft, being aggressive in the draft. You know, maybe the Cowboys don't sit on their hands this time. Maybe they get aggressive, trade down, trade up, get the guy they want instead of just waiting there. You know what I mean? So, a great comment there, man. Appreciate that. Thank you, bro. Shine Seven, appreciate you, man. I hope that Pickens gets signed. Yeah, I'm with you on this as well. I mean, we're always. It seems like we're always looking for that number two receiver. We always seem to have the number one. Whether it's Dez, and now it's you know C.D. Lamb. Like you need here in Dallas. It's always that's kind of always been like a tradition here, right? You have like a Drew Pearson, you have a Tony Hill, you have a Michael Irvin, you have Alvin Harper. You know what I mean? You have Dez, and then you go out and get some other players. Whether it's Terrence Williams or Cole Beasley. Here with the Cowboys, finally, they have a number two here with Pickens, and some will argue that he's better than Lamb. I think there's some people that legitimately believe that. You know what I mean? I think he's definitely doing really good. I wouldn't go that far and say that he's better than Lamb. I mean, Lamb just gave us an awesome season just the other year. I want to say he broke the record for receptions or came close or something like that. to Irvin's receptions record. So yeah, it's a great combo. You know what I mean? I would like to keep that in place. If you can keep Pickens here, whether it's through tags or extensions, I think you have to keep him here. I mean, you gave up a third, right? You gave up a pretty high pick for him. You can't just let him walk. You know what I mean? And the Cowboys, that's another area that they need to straighten up on as far as like the contracts, right? Don't drag this out. Don't use the local media to drag a player through the mud and try to get the price to be lowered. It's not going to work. You know what I mean? This isn't like I don't even know what the hell their strategy is, man. It's really crazy what they do. Just you want the player, he's a good player, and it makes this offense really hum. So just stop playing and sign him. At the worst, franchise tag him. Yeah, but you got to keep him around. So yeah, man, I hope they keep Pickens as well. It's I think you have to because you have nothing after him. Oh, Ryan Flournoy. He's had some flashes. He's kind of been one of these flash in the pan kind of guys. Some people are kind of over exaggerating him as far as, oh, is this the next Miles Austin? No, he's not the next Miles Austin. He just happens to be somebody that'll give you a play here and there. Is he better than Jalen Tolbert? I don't even know if he. I mean, I think he is. Tolbert had a couple of touchdowns just the other season. Flournoy, he's got a couple here. So I don't know if he's that much better than Tolbert, but is he better than Mingo? You know, we gave up. What do we give up for Mingo? A fourth. So you got Mingo in the mix. I think they're going to just stash him and then put him in the mix next year, where you got Lamb, Pickens, Mingo, and then your other pass catcher would be obviously Ferguson, who has a good rapport with Dak Prescott. You know what I mean? Those two are really clicking right now. So I do like that. Let's see what else we got here in the chat box. Keep these questions and comments coming, everybody, and we'll talk about the team here tonight. Shine 7. I wonder if Overshown will get more snaps, or maybe it would be better to let him recover more. Also, it would be nice to see Span Ford get more snaps. Yeah, I think Overshown, the plan should be to bring him along slowly, but I was looking at his snap counts, and he had a pretty good amount of snaps. I think it was like 40 or something like that. So he did play a lot of snaps. I think more than that I really wanted him to. So I think they let him rock and roll right out the gate. It looked like Revel. You did see those numbers. I think he had like 15 or 20 or something like that. It wasn't 40. So Overshown definitely had more snaps. Um, but it's the quality of those snaps, right? Like to have 40 snap counts, I didn't feel or see the impact. You know what I mean? So I think that's the part that you have to ramp up. You know what I mean? I want to see the playmaking ability. You know what I mean? And he'll have his chance here with the Eagles. Hopefully, they use him as a spy type of player here for Jalen Hurts, because Hurts can hurt you with his legs rolling out. I think you got to have somebody of that caliber to keep an eye on him, and I think Overshown is a perfect chess piece for that to cancel out Jalen Hurts, intangibles. You know what I mean? I think that what Overshown can give you. So, yeah, I think he'll get more snaps. I don't think they're going to give him less. So, and I think Overshown is asking for more. So, let's just hope that he holds up. You know what I mean? He is injury prone. That's already been shown here with his career here with the Cowboys. Let's just hope he holds up. As for Span Ford, I'm with you. I think you gotta take out Schoonmaker's snaps. You know what I mean? Like, how the heck is Schoonmaker still getting these snap counts over these guys. He doesn't do anything. I mean, he blocks here and there, but I mean, Span Ford can do the same thing. It gives you a bigger catch radius, you know what I mean, than Schoonmaker. So yeah, man, I think it's time to take a look at that. So great comments there, Shines. Appreciate that. Okay, here we go. We have another question here. I know we need to utilize draft picks on defense. What's your opinion on drafting a QB early rounds to start learning behind Dak? I think I've been a proponent of this strategy for a couple of seasons now. You know what I mean? Because I have broken down the average age of a quarterback getting to the Super Bowl for the first time in his career, and it's at 27 years old. Is that is the average? You know what I mean? It's a young man's game, and Dak, he's past that. He's past that. So that window is closing as each year goes by. We know that Matthew Stafford is one of the outliers. They did it there, but the Rams, they also went all in that season. I mean, they put all their chips in. The Cowboys, they're gun shy when it comes to that. So until they do that, it's a lot more pressure on the aging quarterback. So yeah, to answer your question, um, for me, I would take one early this year. I probably wouldn't. Not with those first two first rounders. You know what I mean? Maybe you can trade back that second one and pick up, a second or third, or maybe even pick up a future first if you trade all the way out. You could actually end up with, two first rounders back again the next season where there's going to be some good quarterbacks in that draft class. So this one, there's a couple that are making some noise here, but I definitely think that you have to have a succession plan in place, and the Cowboys have been very terrible at that. So I think Parcells and he had it the right way. They had Bledsoe in here, they had Testaverde before that, and they knew they needed to get better, so they had the aging quarterback in Bledsoe, but they knew that they needed to have somebody in the pipe, and they haven't really done that. They've kind of tried it with Trey Lance, didn't work out, right? Joe Milton, from what I've seen, I mean, I think he's still pretty raw. I don't know if you keep on that path. For me, I'll probably get a better caliber player. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I don't think that Joe Milton's going to be the answer to answer that as well. So I would bring in a quarterback in here because I think Dak has 2 to 3 years at the most here, and then that'll probably be it. You know what I mean? And then they'll have to do something because then you're looking at a very old quarterback. If you're here another 2 to 3 years, Dak is going to be like way the hell up here in age for a quarterback, right? And not to say that some of these guys can play a long time, like a like a Aaron Rodgers or a Peyton Manning or something like that. But Dak is not is not on the same level as that, in my opinion. See what else we have in the chat box, man. Keep those questions and comments coming. Great discussion here, man. Appreciate that. Milton seems to be a quarterback worth retaining, in my honest opinion. I mean, he's worth retaining, you know what I mean? But as far as like what have you seen so far? Have you seen a quarterback that gives you that feeling, you know what I mean? Where like, yeah, man, this guy has the it factor. Like we know he's got the deep ball. That's kind of been his claim to fame, Joe Milton. But it's the intermediate passing game. He struggles there. You know what I mean? And that's really where you earn your money. So I don't know, man. He's definitely an arm that you bring him in here. To me, Milton is somebody that would compete with a draft pick for that number two position. probably probably next season. I don't know if the Cowboys are going to draft a quarterback this season because they have Milton. I think if they do that move, it would be the 2027 draft where you're going to have Arch Manning. Love or hate him, he's still a pretty good quarterback. You know what I mean? Would he be the number one? Who knows? You still have two. You still have the rest of the season for Arch, and then you have next season. So, and then you have other quarterbacks that are going to be in that class as well. You got Notre Dame CJ Carr. He could probably be in that class 2027. He's looking amazing. And there's other guys too, right? So Milton, yeah, he's worth retaining, and I think they will. And but yeah, bring in another arm to compete. You have to. You got to keep pushing these guys. I wouldn't mind Jeremiah Love with one of those first round picks. Yeah, and that's going to pick up a lot of steam here. As far as like, you know, to me he's running back one. And that's not because that's my college, right? I love Notre Dame. A lot of you guys have been following me for a while know that that's my college team. So Jeremiah Love, he's the top of the class, man, in my opinion. So where would you take this guy? Where's he gonna go? What I mean, some people are making all these comps. Is he another Bijan Robinson? Some people like that comp. He's a little different to me, man. He plays with power and he's got the home run ability. We haven't had that home run ability from a number one running back in a long time. I think maybe Ezekiel's rookie season was the last time we had a starting running back with home run ability. And then Zeke, he just fell off, man. Especially after his suspension. I think his love for the game got zapped with that whole Goodell suspension. So, and Pollard, he definitely had that home run ability, but he was more like your tweener back, your rotational back. So it's been a while, man. Murray, he had some home run ability. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. I mean, we'll see who's on the board. I mean, I wouldn't mind him on this team. I think you add Jeremiah Love to this offense, and it would be just crazy, unstoppable. You know what I mean? And there's going to be people that they're going to be wanting running back. Despite our needs on defense. You know what I mean? So I definitely could see that. I could see that as being a possibility. Let's see how high up he goes. Reminds me of when the Lions drafted Gibbs after acquiring Montgomery. That's a good point, right? So that's a very good point because the Lions Montgomery were a really good running back, but they didn't stop there. They went ahead and got Jameer Gibbs, who has been outstanding for the Lions. Just an outstanding running back. One of the better young running backs in the league right now, Jameer Gibbs. So, and you see how important he is to that offense, right? So, I mean, you know, I don't know if I really want to use a first on a running back, but if it happened, I wouldn't be mad at it, man. Especially if it was Jeremiah Love, I wouldn't be mad at it. But I would understand people's sides of not wanting a running back in the first and the other side of it. So yeah, it'll be a great conversation here for the off season, the pros and cons of it, right? Alex 2643. I like Jeremiah Love. If we trade down with the first of the two first rounders, acquire a day two pick and draft Love. That would work as well. You know, who is going to fall head over heels in love with Jeremiah Love? Is he going to be a top 10 pick? You know, he could. You know what I mean? I think when I look back at the draft, we'll just talk about like uh like Bijan Robinson. Yeah, I remember that year he was being mocked to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys were like, further down, right? Like I didn't think he was going to be in the mix, and he went early, right? So Jeremiah Love, he could go high, or he could end up being maybe like a Jameer Gibbs, right? I think the Lions got great value on Jameer Gibbs. So they could really knock it out the park here with this draft with the right moves and if they draft the right players. So let's pray to God that McClay and his staff can really turn this thing around because they've had too many misses here lately. Let's see what else we got here in the comments, man. We signed Nick Leverett. Is that true? Yeah, they brought him in and they let go of just some other dude, another guy that they had signed here recently, right? So, yeah, I saw that. So he'll be in there, practice squad. You give him some depth, and it doesn't hurt to have depth here. Cowboys do have two IR designations remaining for the rest of the season, so they'll have to juggle that carefully to see who they ultimately bring back. Do they want to bring back Phil Maffa, the running back, get a look at him, or do they want to activate Mingo? You know, I think those are the two main ones that come to mind here as far as like activating off of IR. You also have Trayvon Diggs, who Cowboys have come out and said that they want him back in the starting lineup. So we'll see what they end up doing there. But it's good to have depth there on the offensive line, especially as you get further down the season here. We're gonna have some physical battles here coming up here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get dinged up here in the next couple of weeks, especially with we have that short window in Thanksgiving. That one is that's very tough on the Cowboys physically. You play Sunday with the Eagles, then you got a quick turnaround for Thanksgiving with Mahomes, right? And then after that, you have the game with is it the Lions we play next after that? But yes, it's gonna be a challenge, man. It's gonna be a hell of a season coming up here for the Cowboys, and as far as like the prospects for next season. But I think you have really good pieces in place here in the middle here with Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams. You have Ezraku, who I think is another piece here. Those are really good. If Overshown can stay healthy, I like Logan Wilson as well. But I would still be looking at another linebacker. You know what I mean? Somewhere possibly in the draft. If there's a beast of a linebacker available, the Cowboys historically they do like linebacker in the first round. If you look at it historically, you can break those numbers down and you'll see they like linebacker in the first, and they also like defensive end in the second round for whatever reason. So if I'm a betting man, I would say that the Cowboys, if they're looking to um, bolster the defense, it would be some combination of that, a defensive end and a linebacker. So some people like some of the safeties in this draft. I think if you keep Eberflus here, that defense that he runs requires a top flight safety, which we don't have right now. That Marinelli Tampa defense that Eberflus comes from, really excels when you have a solid safety or safety combination. Cowboys, they kind of been getting by right now, right? They kind of been getting by with Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker. You know what I mean? They kind of been holding it for a little bit, but you got to get better there. All right, now there's a drought there. Cowboys haven't drafted a safety since 2000 and maybe it was 2000, but it was Roy Williams from the Oklahoma Sooners, right? Bill Parcells used to say he was a biscuit away from being a linebacker, right? So he was a big safety, and after that, the Cowboys they kind of didn't look at safety in the first round. They haven't, they've looked at safety in later rounds. So they've been doing that kind of strategy. I think it's time to change that. You know what I mean? So if there's a good safety there, maybe that's an option for you as well in those early rounds. But yeah, man, I think you have a good foundation here to make a run. I think if you turn it around, it will be because of the middle of this defense. Quinnen Williams, he impressed me, man. I mean, seeing him there with the lineup, you know, just collapsing the middle, the pocket. We haven't had that. I mean, the guy takes on double teams, beats the double teams, collapses the pocket. Other guys are able to feast. You know what I mean? So the Quentin Williams pick might be one of the genius trades here in recent years if they can capitalize on it. They can't stop there with Quentin Williams. They got to now surround him with other complementary players. Give me a good rotational edge rushers. Give me another war daddy. You know what I mean? If Ezra Rockwell is just gonna, so I think it was Bobby Belt said, "Oh, he reminds me of a prime D Law." No, I don't. I don't want a prime D Law because D Law was known for being the run defender with some sacks. I want a guy in here who gets sacks. Okay, so if Ezra was going to be that D Law type of player, okay, that's fine. Get me the edge rush specialist, the guy who's going to get after the quarterback. So they need to figure that out as well. All right. So, but guys, I do appreciate it tonight. Great comments, man. Great draft talk here as well. Talking about the quarterbacks, talking about some running backs, defense. Appreciate you guys, man. We'll keep this going every Friday night. Q&A sessions, just catching up on the team and where they're at, draft targets, and where we're at in the season. So pound that like button if you're catching this on the replay, or pound that like button for me before you head out. And I'll see you guys for the next video, man. We'll talk on Sunday. Peace.